Yeah. Welcome back to another interview. Once again, man, today we have a very special guest with us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Man, I go by Jabari Heavens. Shout out to Misdameanor. It's a blessing and honor to be on here having this conversation, this podcast. You came a long way. We've came a long way. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming through, man. Yeah, for those who don't know, man, we've known each other for a long time.
years. You
Yeah.
had just like got out, right? Like when we first met?
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep. It was
Dang.
like, man, I don't even know how old we were.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's been
wild.
a long
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
But but man, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from?
Yeah. From Pasco, man. I grew up on the east side of Pasco on the block. Back then, that's where I grew up most of my life. I lived in Seattle too, Tacoma, Lakewood, Federal Way, all out there. Got brothers out there too. So yeah, that's like my second home.
Oh, okay. Kind of
Yeah,
west side area.
yeah.
Okay. So you were born in Pasco, though?
Born in
Oh,
Pasco.
okay.
Yep, Our Lady of Lords.
Yeah. Oh,
Hello.
okay. Yeah, nice, man. And then, how was it growing up for you?
Man, it was dope living on the east side. I got to experience, I got to live back then. There was no cell phones, there was no like iPads and laptops. We had dial-up internet back
Yeah.
then, so we were outside all the time
Yeah.
playing hide and seek, playing tag. The Martin Luther King Center was popping back then, so I was always there hooping and everything like that. Not a lot of people know I wanted to be in the NBA before even rapping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's most of my days was just out there, just outside.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's changed now. Everybody was outside back in the day.
everybody.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
we'd be outside all day.
All day drinking out the water hose,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? No filtered water back then, straight faucet tap.
Yeah. And then, when did you start writing music?
So it was around the time my cousin Rock died, RIP Rock. He was like super filthy. I think it was him and Daylon and then Randy Rantsav, you know what I'm saying? They were
Yeah.
like doing music back then together, and then Z and all of them. But Rock was my bloodline cousin, so like when he passed, it impacted me. And after he passed, I started getting into beats. I was probably like 16. I think I wrote my first rap in eighth grade, but it was trash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That wasn't my thing. But after he passed, I was just like, man, like I'm gonna start getting into it.
Oh, okay. Dang.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. And then when did you record your first song?
Oh man, it was at my boy Jay's house, Nasty Notes. Me and Skylar Lamb went over there, and the song was called, I think it was called "We on the Come Up." That was
Oh,
back
okay.
then when everybody was on the come up. You know what I'm saying? So we made that song, and that was like my first ever song. I was probably like 17,
Dang.
16,
Okay.
17.
Dang. Okay. And then, what age did you kind of take it more seriously, or?
That's a good question, man, because I think around when I got serious was probably like, because back then I felt like I was serious, but at the same time I was barely like getting my feet wet. I was
Oh, okay.
recording. We were skipping school to go record. We were doing that whole thing, smoking weed,
Yeah.
skip school, record music. But I think around 21, 22, like when my group Young Writers came into play, when we started doing shows out here, that's when it got like locked in. So like 23, I would say, even around
Okay.
that time. Yeah.
Okay. Damn, that's cool. And you guys were doing shows and stuff, huh?
Man, bro, like we were doing so many shows, like the Rock Reactor back in those days. We were doing shows there. We were opening up for like all those artists. I think Juvenile had came one year. Young Dom had opened up that year too. The Dead Rabbits was there. We opened up there. We opened up for the Yin Yang Twins back then at the Knitting Factory. That dude Duro, who did the Ice Cream Paint Job song, we opened up for him
Oh
in
yeah.
Yakima. Like we were opening up for a lot of people when
Dang.
LaFonte first started, getting into promoting and doing shows and
Yeah.
stuff like that. We were locked in with him, and we were just doing it.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
Yeah. years ago.
Yeah.
Like some of, I would like to say we were some of the pioneers. We're part of the pioneer team of like music out here and shows and opening doors. So where now, you know, a lot of Tri-Cities artists can, they have that opening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And and then how was it like growing up as far as like getting in trouble, or were you kind of a trouble kid, or
I
drugs
mean,
and
shoot,
violence?
I was really like, I would skip a lot of school. I would just, you know,
Yeah.
do that type of thing. Like I wasn't really one to be getting locked up and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like that just wasn't my thing, you know.
Yeah.
I heard too many people would tell me like it's only guys in there, the food's crap. So
Yeah.
like if anything, I was doing stuff trying to do the wrong things the right way, you know,
Oh,
trying not to get caught. So anything I did do,
yeah.
it was like strategic, it was on point to where no cops would be involved, no cops would be called, nobody would know. So a lot of stuff I was just under the radar moving.
Yeah.
So it was like violence was always all around me, like always, like, you know, I didn't get in too many fights growing up. I got into a couple of fights, but you know, it wasn't never really that serious because I never went out looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I didn't go out trying to fight people. I went out trying to turn up, trying to kick it.
Yeah.
Let's do this, let's do that, let's get
Good
active.
time and stuff. Okay.
You know, yeah, yeah.
What about getting a little older? Were you kind of into some trouble, or
Oh yeah.
drugs and
I was, man, the trap life, man, was calling my name. You know, everybody I looked up to had cars, had rims, had females, had weed, had packs, had that. So I definitely hopped straight into that. Like as soon as I got enough money and knowledge and who to call and who the plug was, like I went straight to the trap life. I was heavy into drugs. Like I loved it. I loved kicking it. I loved trapping. I love that whole vibe of just having parties and having people come through and then having what everybody wanted at that same spot. Like that's why it was so strategic because it's like if you got it, you could just throw a party and everybody's kicking it and then you have it. Then they just come to you and then you just right there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And you know everybody. So it's like, okay, if anybody says anything, I know who's here. So yeah, it was,
Yeah.
man, that was like the thing, bro. And eventually, after a while, like of doing that and getting into that trap life, like it got lonely. It got lonely, you know. I remember coming over here, bro, and just those long nights where I would just be off on one trying to record, couldn't even record the
Yeah.
song because I was so high,
Yeah. I remember
just
those, man.
locked in, just wasting time, bro. And I look back like, dang, like bro really rocked with me enough to just, you know, the grace that you gave me, bro, because I was just so just off, bro, and you still just gave me chance after chance after chance. And I look back at those times and I'm just like, man, I was really at a low point in my life because that's all I had. All I had at one point was the drugs and was music. And the drugs was becoming a barrier to music. It became a barrier to my relationships, my friendships. And when I lived at my apartment over there, you know, I was by myself, lonely. I had Jordans, I had drugs, I had weed, I had food, I had all these things, right? But there was a hole in my heart. There was a hole for sure because I couldn't fill that void. And so I turned to drugs, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, man. Seeing it, yeah, for sure. I always thought like, man, he's a good guy and he has potential, but like, man, I wish he wouldn't come over here with that much, like that type of, yeah,
Yeah, coming with
yeah,
bags and zips of.
yeah, man. Um, but yeah, so now, man, you changed a lot. I mean, you could just see you've matured and changed, and now you're God fearing man, and
Yeah,
you got saved, baptized, go to church, got married, man. Congratulations to
thank
that.
you, thank you.
What do you think changed? What do you think was the point where you're like, shoot, I need to change. I need to do something else.
Yeah, well, first, before that, I want to apologize to you too, publicly, you know what I mean, for the time that I wasted and for disrespecting your home. Like, you opened your home to me, like, you treated me like a brother, bro. And I'm sorry for how I came when I came like that, you know, it was wrong. So I just
Yeah,
had to get that. But
I
what made
appreciate
me
that.
change was so many, I feel like so many failed attempts of trying to change, I get, or not even trying to change. There's so many failed attempts of doing it my way, trying to do things my way, you know. So there was this one night that really was like the tipping point where I had went to a friend of mine's birthday party. We had went out and everything, and there was someone with us that got super faded, you know, to where he had to get walked out. That night, you know, I had a blow and go in my car and everything like that, and I wasn't even supposed to be driving, but you know, in that mindset, I was ready to drive us all home, you know, without my blow and go in a whole nother car. So I feel like God intervened that night, and he got faded to where he had to get walked to his car, you know what I mean, and he had to leave, to where that removed me from even driving that night.
Oh,
And I was just like, wow. And then that night came, ended, and in the morning I ended up, you know, trying to hop in my car, and I blew in the blow and go, and you know, I was still intoxicated, and
oh well.
I failed, you know, the test. I ended up having somebody take me home in my car that day, you know, when I got home. And at this point, I was living with my mom. You know, I had just moved back from Seattle, trying to change, you know, left my job out there and trying to just, I made a transition to try to do the right thing, but I still was doing the wrong stuff, still going out. So that moment when I got back to my mom, I just felt like the bottom of the barrel. I was just like, my kids aren't with me. I'm living at my mom's. I just went out. My homeboy was faded. Like, I just failed my blow and go. And I just felt like at that moment, if I didn't make that change, if I didn't go throw away, I went and threw away all my weed pipes, all the blunts, the cigarettes. I threw everything out. And I was just like, man, God saved me that night. You know, I could have been in that car and drove. He ended up rolling his car, you know, that night. That could have been me. I probably would have died because I wouldn't have had a seatbelt. Who knows, you
Yeah,
know? And I just look back like, you know what? I have to change. I don't want to live like this anymore. Like, I'll let my kids down. I'll let myself down. I'll let my family down. I'll let people who believed in me down. So that was a turning point. I was just like, you know what? Threw it all away. And that was a Saturday. So Sunday was the next day. I went to church Sunday. Boom. And ever since then,
dang.
the next week after that, I gave my life to God. And then I ended up getting baptized like later on, like the next month, and just completely just
Damn.
turn around.
Wow. And I know it's a hard path to stay on. How do you think you stay on the righteous path, like where you're not tempted to drink? And because I know man, just stop cold turkey drinking and smoking is hard. So
Super hard. So man, I don't, honestly, surrounding myself with other guys that are on that same path. You know, that was the biggest thing. You know, I was on this Facebook. There's a group that we made called God's People Activated, and it was like me and a couple, like probably 10 other people. Started with like three of us. We all knew each other. We all used to hang out and kick it and stuff like that. And we started linking up on Facebook. We started linking up in person and just talking about God, praying. And then it got bigger. Then we started having like weekly, you know, Bible studies and stuff.
okay.
And that kind of helped me get through it a lot. That helped me sustain because we're all like in the same type of like the beginning stages of the walk, to where we're all
Yeah.
learning. We're all like, man, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with lust. I'm
Yeah.
struggling with hitting these females. These females keep hitting me, or I'm getting urges. So we're all just talking to each other and pouring into each other and praying and everything. But honestly, it really, I had to do it on my own without them too. I had to have my own consistent routine and pattern of like praying every night, reading the Bible every morning, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
just staying focused, because if it's cool when you meet with people, it's like going to church every Sunday. If you go to church every Sunday, but Sunday through Sunday, you're not doing anything, then what's the point of that Sunday every time? You know, I had to put in the groundwork. But there was times when I slipped. I'll admit there was times when I slipped. There was times when I drank, you know what I mean, in the past. And there was times when I popped back out, you know. And when I was out, I was just like, man, I would be there and I'd feel like I was just like, I felt like everybody was looking at me and I felt like I shouldn't be here. You know, I could just see like everybody like, why are you here? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
You changed your life. Like you're over, like, what are you doing? Like, that's not what they said, but that's what I felt.
Yeah.
So going back at one point in my life, you know, for a night or two, I was just like, man, this isn't me. Like, what am I
Yeah.
doing? Like, you know? So even then God kind of spared me and was like, yeah, like I let you go do what you do and you did it. Now I had to go back and pray all this stuff off of me and everything, bro. Like, so man, I don't know. It's just staying connected and really trusting in God and knowing
Yeah.
that he's the only way.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, it's tough, but it could be done for those watching and thinking about and changing your life. It's hard, but you can definitely do it
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, man. And then, how long after you started going to church and got saved and stuff did you end up getting married? Because it was kind of quick, or
Yeah. So I think I got saved. I was probably saved for about a year. And then comes that following summer, I ended up meeting my wife, you know, and so I met her in probably about 6 months. We were talking and everything, and then we ended up getting together, and that was probably we were together for about almost a year. But you know, early in the stage, this is another thing too. So we were pretty much unequally yoked. You know, she had knew about God and everything, but you know, she wasn't as deep in the walk as I was. So, you know, when we kind of connected, you know, for one, we weren't married, which is, you know, and we were living together. So we went through a lot of different challenges there, you know, because we're in sin. So God wasn't going to bless it. So we were just like navigating all these different things that came up. And we ended up splitting. You know, we ended up splitting. I ended up leaving the home. And we still stayed connected. But during that moment, you know, so it was probably a year of me being in my walk. What I did, I know I'm all over the place, but I ended up writing down. There's a scripture that says, "Write it down on the tablet and make it plain." I had wrote what I wanted my life to look like. I had talked to my boy John, JW Deuce, who was in the cipher with us. He was like, "Write down everything, bro. Write down what you want your future to look like." So I wrote down like, "Oh, I'm gonna be married. You know, gonna have a 2-story house. Gonna have this many cars. Gonna this. You know, gonna be happily. Gonna be following God. Gonna have a
yeah,
studio." Wrote all that down. A year later, it ends up coming to pass. So back to the story. We're together for like a year. We split. Then in that moment of splitting, that's when I fell. You know what I mean? Because you know I was just hurt inside and everything, and that's when I end up going back to my vomit, which you could say is scriptural, biblical. When you go back to you know your ways and stuff, and that's when I realized like this life is never it. So we end up getting back together with intentions to marry. You know what I mean? And then
oh, okay,
we got back together. You know, and I moved back in, and it was probably maybe 3 to 4 months of living there. Then we just got married at our home. We were gonna do something big, but time just was just not on our side.
yeah,
So we ended up getting married in December of 2024. Last year, yeah, last this past December, we just got married. You know, and 12/12/24, and things changed after that. You know, it.
yeah,
You think when you get married, bro, like it's going to be glitz and glamour, but we got to understand marriage is something that worship, it's like worship to God. When you get married, the enemy came harder You know what I'm saying? After we got married, like the fight
Yeah.
got more real. Like I literally got to pray every day, every morning, and we got to read together. We got to have consistent stuff because the enemy will put lies of deceit in her ear, my ear, try to split up this holy covenant, this holy
Yeah.
union we made. So it's like what I thought of marriage. You know, everybody wants to be married and everything, but even the research I did couldn't have told me what it feels like now. You know, it's definitely a blessing and a great thing, but you have to fight for it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's it it's crazy, you know. I My wife and I,
Hmm.
we're you know, we're not saved 100%. You know,
Hmm.
we pray and believe in God and stuff, but man, you know what's crazy is like as soon as we got married,
Hmm.
is like my wife got pregnant, and
Mm.
yeah, and it was like, and we were both like, man, God's really
Yeah,
showing us, you know, like he really did that.
that's fire.
Yeah, because she actually thought she couldn't get pregnant too.
Wow.
So yeah, man. So yeah, no, it's I mean, that's why I believe in God so much, and
Hmm.
man, but yeah, man, I'm so glad you're doing good, and so
Thank
glad
you.
you're on a good path. And then glad we linked up again, man. You know,
Yeah.
because we had a little fallout because of that whole deal of, you
Yeah.
know, coming over with drugs and just random females and whatnot. So
No, for real. Like, just out of pocket, bro. Like, and I look back on that, I'm just like, man, I really did that. I really came here, brought random people, random females, drugs, like, and didn't consider you, how
yeah,
that made you feel or nothing. Just in
yeah,
my tunnel vision mind of like, okay, I'm locked in and this is what I'm doing. And just,
yeah.
yeah,
But no, I'm glad we linked up again and did the Christian Cipher,
yeah,
which just hit 10,000
let's
views.
go.
Yeah,
10K. That's fire.
yeah, that's good. Getting good feedback too. A lot of people were like, "Man, it sounds good." You know, "Oh man, this is a real Christian rap," or you know,
Let's
"Man, this
go.
sounds good." You know,
That's so dope.
yeah, man. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, bro, we talked about it months ago
Yeah,
around the time you started dropping. I think you dropped like the first cipher
yeah,
or in the midst of it. And like the how it just timing, God's timing,
hmm,
you know, it was just that moment where you had dropped all of those. I think you had dropped the last one with the females, and I think you hit me back or something like that. We reconnected on it, and boom, bro, like, and I had known these guys. I met all these guys throughout my walk at some point,
yeah,
and like I know a lot of Christian artists, but these guys were like the ones that I was like if anytime we do something major like that, a cipher, I was like, these are the guys I'll pick every time because I know them, I know their walk, and they're solid people. You know, they're solid men of God, and the fact that we were able to link up,
yeah,
fire. The beat, crazy, bro. The production, fire, bro.
yeah,
Like it was a blessing, bro.
yeah.
Such
No,
a
it was good.
blessing.
Yeah, it was good, man. Like I was telling you guys, but telling the viewers, man, I was getting chills filming the whole time and
Come
stuff. You know,
on,
it was like, yeah, it felt good to be there too. You know,
yeah.
and me and those guys, you could just tell like the energy, the vibes are all good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, it was a good time.
It's different, huh?
Yeah,
It's not really like I'm not trying to compare anything, but the energies after you do the ciphers with in the secular world compared to that, you can tell that there's a lot more. The humility is different. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't like, I guess you could say it was like it wasn't really a friendly competition, but everybody just went in at their own
yeah,
pace and did their thing, and nobody really felt like, you know, it wasn't about who's better
yeah,
in a sense. It was just about we're all in this pushing the same line, you
yeah,
know. And I remember when I was doing music, secular world, I was the best. I was number one. I was the top. No
yeah,
one's messing with me and stuff like that. So just being able to be over here on the humble side, it feels different for
yeah,
me. It's
yeah.
just like wholesome,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed too. Yeah, like on other ciphers, it felt like they were more in competition for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they weren't as much as like, oh man, you sound good, or man, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like at the Christian side, where it's like, oh man, come on, this and that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool, man. So, anything else you want to cover?
I just want to say, man, humility and unification, for everybody out there doing music in Tri-Cities, like, unify with each other is your best bet. But honestly, like, coming to God was when everything got better for me. My peace, like, I don't have to smoke weed to calm my nerves. I don't have to drink to drown out my pain or my anger, my sorrow. Like, I found peace in prayer. I found peace in worship. I found joy through God, and with him, all things are possible. And now where I'm at, like, if anybody has known me, like, think back to where when I was in the streets and when I was outside, and look at my life now. That's all God. That's not me. That's just me submitting to God and surrendering my ways to him and worshiping him. Like, but you can tell a difference of what I was doing, how I looked. I wasn't looking healthy. I was probably skinny in my eyes. There's probably black around my eyes, but now I look healthy, wholesome, happy. I have my daughter with me. Like, God will change your life too. And, it's not soft. I'm saved. I ain't soft. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with that, but it's about your life and where you want to live eternity. Like, and I don't want to go to hell. What if there is a heaven and a hell? It's not going to be a party in hell. If there's truly a hell, look in the book of Revelations and it'll explain hell. You could type in hell in the Bible, hell Bible verses, and it'll explain what hell is. That's not going to be a party. If Tupac is down there and if all these artists are down there, everybody's going to be on fire, not having a good time. You guys are going to be reliving all the opportunities that God gave you to give your life to him. And the biggest thing about hell is where there's no God. Right now you can be in the world and you can still send a prayer to God and he'll be there. But when you go to hell, God is not going to be there. And that's going to be the worst feeling ever, to not have him, because he is the light. So imagine just being engulfed with darkness and demons and evil all around you. Like, that's like the lowest of the low. I wish that on nobody. And I believe we all can change, but it starts with you. It starts with your heart. It starts with what you want for your future. So I just pray that my life could be a testimony to everybody, to anybody who knows me and those who don't. I'm thankful for every opportunity I have. I'm thankful for this podcast, for my brother who brought me back. We reconnected. All God. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here. So I hope that you guys really take heed to this and, make some changes. Pray. If you start praying, what I did, I started praying and I kept praying. I was still smoking weed. I was still doing all these things, but I just kept praying and I kept asking God, like, help me change, help me change. Then eventually I had to make some changes. I had to try to stop. I had to try to change this. I had to try to change that. God isn't a genie. He's not just going to pop up and just grant all your wishes or make this happen. There's work that you have to put in too. And that's what I did because I wanted it, And God bless everybody, man. God loves you guys wherever you're at, and he'll meet you where you're at. You don't got to stop completely everything right now and go to church like I did it. You can start where you're at. Because it didn't start that day when I changed. It started months before when I was still praying, still in the trap, praying like, God, I don't want this. Take this from me. Take this from me. And kept praying and kept praying and kept praying. And then he started changing my heart. And then things just started changing. So it was a process, but that's how I started.
Okay, man, that's good. Well, man, appreciate you coming on today, man. Keep doing good, man. Where can we find you?
Man, Jabari Heavens on Spotify, Jabari Heavens on Apple Music, Jabari Heavens on Instagram, Jabari Heavens on TikTok. I said, just type in my name and I'll pop up on any platform. I just released a song. You guys need to go peep that. It's called acronym YSYGM. You Said You Got Me, featuring God Fearing and Zay Hill. It's crazy. It's a blessing that, I went from listening to these brothers early in my walk to now having a song with them. So God can open doors, man. And I'm living proof of what he can do.
Yeah, okay.
and the cipher.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it, go listen to the Spiritual Warfare cipher.
Yeah.
Misdemeanor on the beat, Misdemeanor on the video production. Like fire, bro.
Yeah,
You know how he
check that
does.
out. Check that out. And working to get that on all streaming platforms too. Just having a couple issues, but it is coming soon.
Coming soon.
Yeah, check him out everywhere, man. If you want to check out the new music he's doing, check it out. Jabari Heavens everywhere. Again, man, appreciate you coming through. We'll have to get some more work in.
Yeah. I would love to do a little something with you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? An EP, little project of some sort, and have you be the videographer for all the videos for that too. You know, I haven't shot a video. My wife, she does all my cover arts. My wife does, she'll like record my reels and then I'll just go chop it, bust it down on CapCut. But to actually have a real video, I still have yet to have that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, man, we'll get some work in.
yep.
But yeah, man, appreciate you. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you too.
Yeah, for sure. And tap in. All right, y'all. God bless everyone.
God bless.
Thanks for tapping in.
Yahweh.